You ready to go?
I am ready to go.
All right. Welcome
I
to
have to remember to look at. Oh, sorry. I have to remember to look at the camera. I'm
That's fine.
sorry.
Or whatever you want. Welcome to Creativity, the podcast where art and engineering collide. My name is Jeremy Cook, and I'm your host for this podcast. And today we have a very special host, special guest named Pat Regan. How are you doing, Pat?
I'm doing all right today. How are you doing today, Jeremy?
Good, good. Now today our subject matter is going to be quadcopters and how to get started with quadcopters specifically. But a couple housekeeping items. First of all, if you're watching on video, you'll notice this is now a video podcast. So, we'll certainly focus on what you can download on SoundCloud and in iTunes, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought this would be a good way to expand things. Thanks to Positive Waves for pointing that out or suggesting that. So, send some positive waves back to you. When while we're at it, he's one of our Patreons. So let's go ahead and give everybody there a shout out. You got our top five: Brian Moses, Pat Regan, which I guess we'll give him a shout out even though he's on today. Positive Waves, of course. Old School DIY, which is at GFC62, and of course Stephen Booker. So now that we've got that out of the way, Pat, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Ooh, I'm not prepared for that. I'm Pat. I try to be friendly and polite and stuff like that. I have a blog. I've been writing stuff for, boy, I don't want to say 10 years, but I bet it's been 10 years I've had that blog. That's scary.
Well,
Uh, my
well,
friends and I, we've been flying FPV mini quads, they tend to call them, for 3 years now, maybe 3 years.
okay. Yeah. I guess let's go ahead and get into it. Get started.
Sure.
You said you've been flying quadcopter for 3 years. Is that correct?
I,
First
I'm
person
going to
view.
say that's true. I'm going to assume that's true.
Okay. And what did you start with?
Well, I started with a little toy drone. We were doing builds at our makerspace. We built these big old 450 millimeter quads. I didn't build one. I skipped it. I thought it looked boring, so I didn't want to do that. But my friend Brian, he bought me a Spectrum brand radio. I guess I should have props. I have props. This is not that Spectrum radio, but it was very similar to this guy. They call them radios, transmitters, controllers. It depends on who you talk to. But he bought me that, and then I went and bought a toy drone. It was a Blade Nano something or another. It was a little guy. More props. It was about this. It wasn't like this, but it was about this big, a little guy. And you can mostly just fly that around the house, and you do it just by looking at the drone. It's line of sight. You have to watch where the drone is going, and you chase it around.
So
And
that's a good I guess it's a good point though. I mean, if you're entirely new to drones, you've got first person view drones and then you've got line of sight drones, correct? Is that kind of the
absolutely, yep.
okay?
And then you've also got the photography stuff, like the DJI, the Mavics and the Phantoms and Sparks and whatnot. They're not exactly FPV because you can turn the camera. They're not necessarily facing forward. You know what I mean? It's more like the camera's on a gimbal, so you're trying to get
It's
the
more
drone flies one way, the camera points another way. They don't have to, but they.
right. So it's kind of a combination. I mean, you're not necessarily flying first person view, but it's kind of like an assist, I guess, or you're pointing your camera one way, as you say, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
you
know.
might be watching the DJI drone with your eyes while you're pointing its camera to the side while you're strafing along somewhere, like if you're following somebody on a skateboard or a motorcycle or something, trying to get. If you're using a DJI drone, you're trying to get video of some sort, either
Yeah, sure.
professionally or, yeah.
Now a lot of people actually start out with the DJI drones, right? Which I would imagine that's a bit of a mistake, or is it? I shouldn't
It
put words in your
depends.
mouth.
The biggest difference between the DJI stuff and the FPV stuff that we fly is that the DJI stuff is more like autopilot. You're not really in control of the drone. You push the stick forward to tell it, yeah, you should move forward, and the drone decides how it's going to accomplish that. With the FPV stuff and the more do-it-yourself stuff, it flies more like a helicopter. pitch forward, and when you pitch forward, it's going to start dropping out of the sky, and you have to give it a little more throttle to, because the thrust comes straight down out of the bottom. So when you pitch forward to move forward, you lose some of that. Your angle of thrust is this. Is this too complicated?
No, it's
Your
okay. We've got the most intelligent audience in podcasting here at the Creativity
Oh, that's
Podcast.
awesome! That's fantastic.
we're, we're
Congratulations,
we're so
everyone.
awesome. Thank you. It's a we limit the number of limit the number of I guess viewers now, you can say. So it's such a small selection. It's just the elite people that listen to us.
Oh, that's fantastic. This is fantastic. I'm going to try to remember this.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. We haven't you got you Patreons. You'll be getting your IQ tests in the mail
In the,
in the in a couple days.
I can make a political joke, but I'm going to avoid it.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so back to our subject matter. What were we even talking about?
We were talking about quadcopters.
Yeah, yeah.
We were
So yeah, you were talking about the level of thrust. Basically, when you pitch forward, the drone goes forward. Pitch to the left, it goes left, right. It's etc.
Yep.
And that's on my hand here. I was actually illustrating it wrong. So left is left, right is right, and
Yep.
I guess
And a
the other
DJI drone, when you pitch, well, and a lot of, I shouldn't just say a DJI, but a DJI drone, it's going to try to maintain its altitude. So when you pitch to this is my left, it might be your right. I don't know how this works. So when you pitch to the left, some of your thrust is going out the side instead of down. So if you don't adjust your throttle, you're going to sink. And that's kind of why it's a little more manual to fly the stuff that I fly compared to the DJI quads.
right. So it seems to me that there is basically almost like three paths you can go, or maybe two paths, I guess. Basically, if you want to do photography drones, or if you want to do like race, just mess around drones, right?
Yeah, at least two or three. There's so many ways to get it. That's the bummer about this is it's very daunting for a new person.
Okay, so if you were new, would you have gone the way you went and bought a cheapy little drone like that?
Well, at the time we didn't have a lot of choice. It was interesting. Yeah, my friend who was running the class to build those big drones, he had one of the earlier FPV racing drones, one of the first pre-built drones you can fly that did that sort of thing. And he flew it around the parking lot the first day that he brought it out. And I thought this was really cool. I said, well, what do I have to do to fly FPV like this? And this was 3 years ago. And he said, well, you've got to buy this $300 set of goggles. And they were about this big. I'm not even kidding. You have to buy the $200 radio. Then you have to buy the $500 quad and the $100 charger and a whole bunch of these batteries that are 20 or 30 bucks each. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do this. But today you could spend less than $200. You know this, Jeremy. You can get a little something like this little Tiny Hawk, this little indoor
Oh yeah,
quad. He's one.
yeah. I've got the
Yeah, and he
on your recommendation. I got a Tiny Hawk too, which is awesome. Um,
it's fantastic. If he told me that I could go, if you couldn't buy these 3 years ago, but if he told me you could just go to Amazon, spend $180, and you can have goggles, a radio, and this tiny little drone in your hands in 2 days, it would have been. It's a game changer.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, it's been funny. I myself, I started out with the was it Hubsan H107C, like the tiny little drone, and I flew this first person view for a long time. I crashed it and crashed it. In fact, I crashed it, repaired it, and finally got back to the point where I think I had to buy like two or three of them. So those are pretty neat, but never had the ability to do first person view. Now,
Yep.
a couple years later, I decided, I've been kind of on the fence about it. Thanks in some part to you, Pat. Um, Thinking about getting to first person view, and finally, on your recommendation, I got one of these Tiny Hawks, and I got to be honest, it's been a lot of fun. Now, I mean, a caveat on that, for some reason the transmitter receiver hasn't been working correctly, so I need to get back into
Oh
that. And
no.
well, it works line of sight, but now that I've gotten into first person view and actually using the headset, it's kind of boring to be honest, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
um, but myself, I don't know about. What do you think? Would you recommend jumping straight into first person view, or would you go to like a little $20 drone from that you can buy? Would you do that
This
first?
this is fascinating because the answer is different for everybody, and that's kind of a bummer too because you can't just say this is what you should do, this is the right way to do it, and a lot of people don't like to make these kind of decisions,
Oh,
but
sure.
but there's a lot of people like to get their hands on something right away, and I think those little $20 quads are fantastic. There's a little Eachine brand, it's not much bigger than this Tiny Hawk. They go on sale for like $12 with a couple of batteries and a little crummy controller. And it's like the little gateway drug, right? You get this little $12 thing, you mess around with it until you destroy it and you wear out the batteries, and then you want something better and you just keep progressing. But a great way to get started if you want to completely skip the line of sight stuff is you can buy just the radio. This is kind of an expensive radio, but there's a neat $40 radio now that's pretty good. This one's about $200.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what's that called?
And
I'm sure people would love to know.
this is a Tyrannus X9D Plus.
Oh yeah. Well, is
It's
it?
a
That's not the cheapie though. That's the
This
expensive
is the
one.
night. Yeah, this is kind of old now, but this same company has a $100 radio that's just as good as this one. This one has a million of these switches that plane pilots might use for something. I need two switches. That's all I need. Two switches and the sticks.
Sure.
But the Beta FPV Light Radio 2, it's called, is about $40. And it'll pair up to any pretty much, well, not my quads because they run a different receiver, but there's all sorts of quads they'll bind up with. And you can plug it into the USB port on your computer, and it's a game controller.
Oh, so you could do this without even having a quad. I mean, if you wanted to just get started playing around, you could just do it on your computer. Is that right?
Exactly. And it's so much like flying for real. When we started, the simulators were terrible. It wasn't just a USB cable to plug in and it was a game port. You had to plug into, there's a trainer port on the back of these,
Okay.
which is it's a little audio output, a little blips and little modem kind of thing. You had to plug that into the mic input on your sound card. And there was a program that would convert those clicks and beeps into stick move, but they'd go goofy. It'd be fine. And then just your stick would randomly move. It was really hard to fly
Yeah,
like
that
that.
that sounds like a strange way to do it. Hmm. And
But
what's the name of this the sim program? I've never used this.
there's a few. There's the Drone Racing League, the TV show,
Okay.
has a simulator that's quite good. I tried that one for the first time recently. That one's about 10. It's $10 right now. I don't know if it's always $10 on Steam.
Okay.
On Steam, there's also Liftoff, which is pretty good,
Okay.
and there's another one that's called Velocidrone that probably runs on weaker hardware than the other two if you don't have as good of a video card.
Okay.
But we run into people. We're always inviting people to come fly with us, and new people show up all the time. And these days, people show up. They've been flying in the simulator for a month or two, and then they buy their first quad. They've been flying for 2 weeks, and they're flying as good as anybody else at the
Wow.
park. It's ridiculous.
That's amazing. So maybe I gotta give a shout out to Jeff Highsmith on Twitter. He asked us we were asking what kind of
I remember
questions.
this.
Yeah, you remember. So basically I guess I guess your recommendation for a starter quad would be, well, it's hard. Maybe like if you want to go real low end, you get one of the cheapies from Amazon that's first line of sight, and then if you want to step up maybe a couple more levels, maybe you get the Tiny Hawk too, right? And then
Hmm.
maybe you could sidestep that altogether and get a radio and a simulator. Is that kind of the? I guess that's
Yeah,
the
it
possibilities
depends
maybe.
on how hungry you are to get your hands on real gear, right, and actually get into the air.
Hmm.
And but it's a bit the budgets people have are so much different. We fly with people that are struggling just to keep the stuff they're flying in the air, and we have other people that hear about the hobby and just spend $2,000 or $3,000 on stuff and just they're ready to go. Then there's everybody in between.
Sure. So
too.
how much cash do you have in your setup, if you
Oh
don't
my
mind me
god.
asking?
I don't mind it. I don't mind you asking. I added this up once because I thought I was going to have to travel with it. I was trying to figure out how this was going to work. And I think I carry about $2,000, maybe $2,500 worth of stuff in my backpack every time I go out.
Okay. You ever have somebody that's like, hey, give me all your quadcopters?
No, I haven't had that. The weirdest experience I had, it was, in the first few months I was flying, I was alone. You're not supposed to fly alone, so don't tell anybody I did this.
Oh yeah.
The,
Well, so nobody listening, in addition to your intelligence test, RQ test that you're going to get in the mail, you're going to have a contract that says you're not going to tell anybody about Pat's
yeah, this is
habits.
NDA. Don't tell anyone.
That's right.
I was in my old goggles and I'm flying around and I'm flying. I hear something and I fly near me. And now my old goggles, the camera was terrible. The goggles were terrible. I couldn't really see what was going on. But there was a guy walking towards me and he had this big, long white stick. And I thought I was going to get beat over the head with it or something. So I came in, I landed, and I looked and he's carrying uh, curtain rods. The curtain rods, the L-shaped curtain rods. I'm
Yeah,
like, what?
I guess so. I mean,
The little aluminum or steel, whatever they're made out of. And I was really confused. It turns out he was there because he lost a toy quad in a tree 2 weeks before, and he was asking me if I'd seen it. He didn't want to beat me over the head with it. I guess he was going to bang it out of the tree with the flimsy. I don't know how he was going to do that, but
yeah, I know it helps to have some sort of a stick or something sometimes to get your quad out of the tree. I've
it does.
definitely been there. Oh, I'll say this, Pat. I know you don't have kids, but so I got my little um, the tiny hawk, right? And so I
Hmm.
got it. And my kids were so excited about this. And the great thing
How
is,
old are your kids?
they are 6 and 4. So,
Okay.
so they I get it out. I say, oh, let's play drone chasers. So they're like chasing my drone around, and every time I would crash, I'd tell them to go, ask them to go find it, and they'd run after it. It's great. I just had to sit
You
there
have a
and
caddy.
yeah, pretty much. It's great. So they have a lot of fun with it too. So it's been fun. In fact, they were asking me if they could use a quadcopter, and I was like, well, it's broken, so I need to fix that. I'm
Yeah,
sure
we'll have to
maybe
work
it's
on that.
yeah. I'll have to check it out. I mean, I
That's something we should mention, Jeremy. If you don't like fixing things, it's not a good hobby
okay.
for you. It's a
That's a good point. Well, I guess given our audience, most of the people here, hopefully, either enjoy fixing things or at least
Well,
enjoy
they're the smartest audience in the world, I hear. I bet they're
smart.
good at everything.
That's right. And they're good at sports too. I think esports
Oh,
like quadcopters and
oh,
such.
this counts as a sport. That's fantastic.
I
Now
think
I'm excited.
I think so. I mean, it should, right? I mean, it's
Sure. Well, they do. It's racing, right? Formula One's a sport. Drone racing's a sport, right?
that's right. And these days with the social distancing and stuff, and I should mention we're recording this on August 11th, 2020, and as Max puts it, in the time of Corona. I think he said that in one of his
Oh, you got
videos.
to be careful. You might have to edit that out. They say that if you mention these words and YouTube picks it up, they de not monetize. They lower the priority of where they put your where they suggest your videos and stuff.
Really?
I assume so because I keep seeing YouTube videos where people talk about the thing that can't be named.
Oh, well, I
And
actually it's when I said that I was talking about the Latin for crown because you're getting you're getting the quadcopter crown, and that's what I meant by that. So if anybody's yeah, the quadcopter crown. Yeah, and you might get this in 2019 or 2020 depending on, you know, anyway.
oh, but we're here having a conversation, so people are going to be watching this for years. This will be popular in 2030. Just wait.
See, we seem to be getting a little off subject here, so let's go ahead and take a coffee break. We'll go ahead and talk about this, and we'll come back.
All right.
That sound good? All right, we'll be back. All right, so Pat, we're back from our coffee break, or me, it was actually a Dr. Pepper break, but Anyway,
My coffee's cold already.
your coffee's what?
Cold. Jeez,
Oh,
did you know I didn't mute my phone? I meant to do that.
that's all right.
I'm gonna get in trouble. The
We'll
police are gonna get
we'll take that into account next time we're thinking about who we invite in the show. So,
me.
uh, but yeah, so your coffee's cold, my Dr Pepper is cold, and
One
yeah,
of those is correct, and the other one's bad news.
that's true. But I guess one thing about this, we talk about getting started in drones and whatever, but I guess one question people might have is what kind of licenses, or is there any like legal restrictions about drones? Can you talk to that at all, Pat?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. Today things are a little weird. The hobbyists like us really don't have to do much. If your drone weighs more than 250 grams, you're supposed to register it with the FAA. But you don't really register the drone. You register once and they give you a code, a little serial number you're supposed to, glue onto all, put a little sticker on all your drones. And it's not really too big of a deal today. But they're trying to pass some new rules. They're trying to decide on exactly what they're supposed to look like for this new remote ID situation. The idea being your drone has to let the FAA know where they want to know where you are and where your drone is. And most of this doesn't seem like too big of a deal. I'm sure DJI is against it apparently, but they have the hardware in place and the software where everything will be fine. But part of these rules that worry me is that the only things that you're going to be allowed to fly are things that are produced by an FAA approved manufacturer.
Meaning DJI. I mean, basically, you wouldn't be able to make your own drone at that point.
Nope,
Is that
nope.
correct?
That is absolutely correct. And none of the approved manufacturers make anything at all like what I fly.
Oh well, that sounds pretty horrible. And what's
It
the name of this
does.
again? It's called Remote ID.
Remote ID. Yep. And I'd love to. I don't want to get too deep into it because it's a huge 100 and something page document that the FAA has for their proposal. But it's a little weird too because if you read half of the document, you'll see some things that'll make you say, "Oh, I'll be fine. I could just fly a sub 250-gram drone and I don't have to worry about it." But then you go 30 pages deeper, and that's not quite true either.
Hmm. So it's gonna, I guess, like you said earlier, not to get too political, but it's a like most things political, it'll be a very confusing document. I assume you said it's 150 pages long,
Something like that. Yeah, 100, 200, somewhere between 100 and 200.
and it's just to say whether basically you as a hobbyist. I mean, it's not just to say that, but one of the
Yeah, there's
effects
more
for
to
you
it.
is
Yep.
you as a hobbyist need to register your drone or make a drone that's somehow commercially yada yada yada. I guess I don't know.
Yep. And they were supposed to vote on this, back in May or June or somewhere, but I guess the FAA folks haven't been meeting the last few months, so that's gotten pushed off, thank goodness. And my understanding is that the day they decide the rule change is going to go into effect, we'll have 3 years before we have to figure out how to comply with
Okay.
the new rule.
Well, that's really discouraging. I mean, I guess you could take that one of two ways. Either A, you buy your hardware now and then get, stock up for the you know, coming restrictions, or you just say, well, I'm not going to do this. It's going to be, I can't really do that. Or may,
Yeah, well,
or maybe it's like, again, not to get too political, but with certain other restrictions, you can buy things that are already in the country, but you can't necessarily import them or manufacture them. If you get my drift here.
yeah, well, I don't expect the stuff to stop being imported. I don't expect people to stop flying. But the bummer to me is going to be that I enjoy posting flight videos on YouTube, and that links right back to me. Right? That's
Right, but I mean, I
if you're
think
not doing that. If you're just flying around over somewhere, doesn't matter. You're not. Nobody's ever going to notice that you're smaller than a lot of birds. I mean, nobody's going to know that you're doing anything. But
right.
as soon as you post a video on YouTube, the FAA can contact you and fine you for doing it.
Yeah, but I mean, That's Pat Regan, right? Not Pat or Pat Reagan, right? Pat Reagan that does that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be the other guy. Yeah, but I mean, not that I'm even doing anything that cool. I mean, there are people doing way cooler stuff than I am, and I'll be bummed out if they don't get to continue doing that.
Yeah, but Pat, I'm sure there's people doing way uncooler stuff than you too. So
Oh, it's true. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are doing way less cool stuff than me. So it's
anyone you'd like to specifically say that's call out for doing this
oh, I
cool
would
stuff?
never do that. That's mean. That might be mean. But when getting back to getting started flying and everything, one of the best things about this hobby that I've noticed is that everybody is having fun. Even if you could just barely, people who could just take off, fly around in a circle and land, they're excited, they're having a good time. And the people, the professionals, one of the fastest pilots in the world, the guy who won DRL last year, he lives here in town and we've flown with him a couple of times. And he's having a blast and he is just absolutely amazing.
Oh, nice. Well, what is his name?
That's Alex Vanover.
Oh, okay. Well, hey,
He's
very cool.
Yeah, it's just watching him. He's flown my quad before, and I just say, "Oh my God, why doesn't the quad do that sort of stuff when I fly it?" You know, it's a
So would you say he's like the Michael Jordan of quadcopters? Is that like
probably, yeah, that's a good analogy. That's very good.
okay? Yeah, I've been
But
watching that Last Dance documentary on Netflix, which is pretty good if you're into sports whatsoever.
Last Dance, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, it's about Michael Jordan and all the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman, all the various shenanigans they got into the last season. So
Yeah,
pretty good. Um, yeah, but anyway, I guess we're taking things far afield again. But yeah, so you got to fly with him, and I think it's interesting, like you say that no matter whether you're starting or really good at it, you're having fun. I think it's like almost like a metaphor for life. You guess you could say like you're this challenge and you can do this as long as you're learning, things are more and more interesting for you. I guess it's kind of a kind of a philosophical thing for all sorts of making or art or anything like that. I think as long as you're challenging yourself, and I think things are fun, right?
I like anything that I can get better at. Right? That's anything with a high skill ceiling where you could just keep.
What's that?
Jeremy, stop moving.
Oh, well, I'm good here. It's lightning out. I don't know what's going on.
We lost him. Are you moving now?
Yeah, I can still see you. Can you see me?
You were stuck for a little while. I could see you again.
Okay, cool. Well, maybe we'll edit that out or leave it in. I guess we'll see. People have been watching for a while now, so
I
they're probably
forgot what I was
tired.
talking about though. I derailed my brain.
Well, let me to explain to viewers at home or listeners, I guess. It's raining like crazy here. You can see,
My goodness.
yeah, it's Florida, where I live in Florida. It seems like every afternoon it starts to rain quite a bit. So I try to take a bike ride like every other afternoon or so, and that's not didn't happen yesterday. So
Have you moved up to an electric bike yet?
oh no, I think honestly, Pat, I feel like that's a little bit of a kind of cheating, or maybe like
Cheating.
electric unicycles. Those are cheating too, right? I mean,
Well, the electric unicycle's totally cheating because there's no manual effort at all. You just have to stand. As long as you can stand, you're okay.
okay, well that's no, I hope I didn't hear. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. Pat's apparently known as that guy around town, and you live in Plano, correct? Plano,
I live
Texas.
in Plano. We're a suburb of Dallas.
Yeah, and you guys make those cases for fishing tackle, right? Is that the?
No, I learned that's a different plane. That's a plane that's up north somewhere. I
Oh,
forget
really?
which state. Yeah, it's closer to Canada than to
Okay.
Mexico. Yeah.
Well,
Isn't that a bummer?
that
We
is
have
kind of a bummer.
we have we have a lot of stuff here. We have Toyota's US headquarters is here in Plano. Frito-Lay, Texas Instruments is right across the border in Dallas, their big original campus.
Well,
And
I'm glad to hear that Texas Instruments is actually from Texas.
isn't that nice?
That'd, that'd be disappointing if it was like Canadian or something, or or I don't know, Brazilian.
Yeah, wouldn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, which if it was, that'd be fine. But they should probably change their name to something else. I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but so I guess anything else you want to say about quadcopters? Getting started with it? Anything? I guess people need to know. I guess one thing. Let's just say you want to get started with FPV quads. What's your minimum price for this? What do you think, Pat?
If you want to fly something, it's if you want. Well, let's break it into three maybe four different things here. You can. We already talked about starting with that little $12 ESG. I think they're $20 on Amazon. We can leave a link to that in the description or something. Then there's you can get that $40 Beta FPV radio. The nice thing about the Beta radio is you'll be able to use that for quite a while. You'll be able to buy goggles, quads. You buy 3 or 4 quads before you decide that's not the radio that you really want to have, next year. But you could get the Beta FPV radio in one of the simulators, and you'll be in $50, and you'll be learning how to fly. Or you can go Jeremy's route and get the Tiny Hawk. And I hear they have a kit. Emax has a kit with the Tiny Hawk Freestyle, and I just noticed I'm missing a prop on this one.
Oh, that's
The
that's a good
difference,
that's a good point though. I mean, the Tiny Hawk, basically the Tiny Hawk 2, it pretty much is what it is. But then you can upgrade that to a freestyle, which is kind of like the next level on that. Is that
yep,
is that right?
yep, yep. The Tiny Hawk Freestyles flies just like my 5-inch quads, but 5-inch. That's but the prop size
Okay.
is how we measure quads. These are 2.5-inch
Okay.
props on this thing, but it basically flies like my 5-inch. And you can get the Emax has a kit with instead of the Tiny Hawk, it has the Tiny Hawk Freestyle. You get goggles, the radio. The neat thing about the Emax kit is that it's ready to go. You basically open it up, plug a battery in, and everything's configured. And
Right. Right. Yeah. Let me. Why don't you go ahead and So what are the other options? I'll go ahead and grab my kit while you talk about it.
sure, yeah, because I don't have the kit. I only have the quads.
Yeah. So yeah. But
Should I be waiting to talk until you get back?
no. Go ahead. Go ahead and talk. Tell people about that. But I'll bring the kit
Sure,
for background. Just a sec.
sure. I'm off track, Judy. So yeah, for about 180 bucks, Emax has the kit with the Tiny Hawk. This is the original Tiny Hawk. Now they have the Tiny Hawk 2 and the Tiny Hawk Freestyle 2. I have the older ones. But Jeremy will show you comes with goggles and a little case. It's fantastic. And the neat thing is it's ready to go. Like if you get that Beta FPV radio that I was talking about and you start in the simulator, when you buy your first quad, you're going to have to learn how to configure all the switches to work with the quad and how to bind it and get it flying. But this kit that Jeremy's showing us, holding up to the screen here, you will just get in the air and you won't have to think about anything, which
Yeah,
is nice.
yeah, it is pretty nice. Again, like I mentioned, I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix the transmitter on this, but it's really
And
really pretty easy. Um, only thing is when I try to fly at line of sight to begin with, which I think is the right way to do it, there's a few cues that you get on the goggles that you don't necessarily get visually. So, I'm putting it down on the ground. I'm like, why isn't it taking off? I had to kind of guess my way through that until I put the goggles on. But
yep,
overall, I think
and
it's a really good way to go. Um, and I guess beating up that Hubsan little X107, beating that up over and over, I think that those
it
skills
helps
did
the time.
translate to the first person view. Even though there was a bit of a learning curve on that, after I got used to it, I feel like my skills, went. I feel like I got a lot better a lot faster than if I was just starting from scratch, if that makes
Yep.
any sense.
And my friends and I are going to be doing a weekly simulator night is our plan. We're going to be doing one this Thursday. Is going to be the first one.
Oh, nice. Well,
Yep.
can people
You know,
join you guys, or is that
absolutely. You can come by our Discord server. I think we talked about doing it Thursday at 9 o'clock, and we're going to be using the DRL simulator.
And you
And it's
say
multiplayer. We should be able to get everybody connected. And
okay?
I
Well,
don't know. I
what's
don't know how it's going
how do you get to the Discord? What is your Discord server?
to. If you go to if this is easier to type than to say. But if you go to patshead.com/discord, it'll forward you to our Discord's an app. They have it on phones and it's a website. It's basically like IRC chat, but for regular folks. It's easier to get started.
Sure. Well, cool. That sounds like fun. And I guess that's 9 o'clock, probably. What are you, Central Time?
Central time. Yes, I'm in Central time, which is
Okay.
weird. I'm still not used to being in Central time.
Yeah, because you're from what? New Jersey? Not New Jersey.
I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. That's right. So, yeah. So I guess all that being said, I think we've, hopefully answered some of your questions about getting started with quadcopters. I guess as for us, Pat, what have you been working on these days?
Oh, this is a good question. Um,
Also, what is first of all, what is that butter question mark exclamation point above your head?
is it up
Why don't you
here?
why don't you tell us
That's
about that a little bit?
well, my friend Brian and I started a new blog, a new website called butterwhat.com, and kind of what we figured out is, he writes about things on his blog, I write about things on my blog, but we kind of needed a place in the middle where we could write about shared, not necessarily experiences, but stuff that's relevant to both of us. And I always say that it's meant to be kind of like. Have you ever seen The Big Lebowski?
You
The
know,
rug in The Big Lebowski.
I saw it. I wasn't crazy about that movie, to be honest. I feel like it maybe got a little bit too hyped up, and you know,
Well, he's got a rug, and he says it really ties the room together, and that's kind of what Butterwhat's supposed to be there for, is to tie things together. And we're hoping to spread our Google, whatever favor we have with Google, out amongst other folks that want to participate. So if other people have blogs or whatever and want to write articles, and we'll post them and link out to their stuff. And
so basically, you're trying to butter up other people's blogs to get them more traffic, and
oh, I like that a lot.
oh,
Can I steal that?
absolutely. Yeah, you
Can I
never.
steal
I'm
that? Fantastic.
shocked. I'm
No,
shocked that you haven't thought of that.
I have not thought of that. And I've
Well,
been hiding my logo the whole time here. The
well, I'm glad you could get something out of this podcast.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's
Yeah.
exciting. I plan on whatever we've talked about on this podcast. I'm due to update my how to start flying FPV blog post, because this stuff changes so fast. Every 3 or 4 months, there's some new thing that's even better for beginners than was available before.
Sure. Sure. Well, okay, that's awesome. Then now, what about I assume you've been working on that, of course, but what about any other projects or anything you've been working on?
Oh, do you know? I've been looking around. I don't know if you've seen me looking around while you're talking about, like, what have I been working on. We have been working on something really cool, and I hope this wire's long. Oh God, it's not long enough.
Oh,
This
the Uber lights. You've
This
been you've
is
been
the
telling me
Uber
about
Light
that.
board. This is the prototype, and I wanted to send you one of these, Jeremy. But my friend, who is my business partner here, who's working on the software, he said no, it's not ready. He needs 2 or 3 more features before I could send these out to anybody.
Okay, well, I'll be uber excited to get one.
I hope so. I hope so. He's already been working on new hardware. We decided we needed a third ring of pixels
A third ring of pixels. Yeah,
in the middle.
if you guys are listening to this, which most likely you are, basically the Uber lights, they are what three concentric rings and then a dot in the middle, and basically they're what WS. They're programmable LEDs, so they
They're
look like they have
programmable
any.
LEDs. They're the new small ones. They came out right as we were designing this with the 5 millimeter, because that was the smallest NeoPixel style LED. But these are the 2 millimeter square
Okay,
little guy. That was exciting. I was real excited about that.
nice, nice. So it's gonna have three lights that can spin or do whatever else you want.
Yep. And the idea is this. I don't know why I'm showing this, because this is supposed to be audio too. But there's an ESP8266 as our microcontroller. So we have Wi-Fi. We've got over-the-air updates are working. What we're working on now is a compositor, so that you can run multiple animations on the same ring. Because this is sized to fit a 5.25 inch hard drive or optical drive bay.
Okay, yeah, because everybody has those these days.
They do. Well, I don't know if they do, but
Well, if they have one, they're not using them, right? So
It's true. Yeah, it's empty. Usually completely empty. And I figure these will be for, disk utilization. You can do like a bar graph light up from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock when you're 50% full. Spin like this one spin. Is this the one that's spin? Am I pointing at the right
yeah,
one?
you're pointing at the spinny one.
Yeah.
Again, you guys
Yeah,
can't
we
hear
get
that on the audio, but yeah, it's spinning like crazy.
it is. He's got this going real fast and changing colors and stuff. But we'll spin it at different speed. Spin in one direction for network throughput going one way or disk throughput going the other way. We've got all kinds of ideas.
That's awesome. Well,
I
that's awesome that you actually have a prototype of it, and you're gonna. I assume you will be selling that on Tindy or something eventually, or maybe
Or somewhere,
somewhere.
absolutely
Yeah,
somewhere, and it's all open source. We haven't released the hardware design yet. I think he's nervous about releasing the hardware design until it's really he knows he doesn't want to be embarrassed,
sure.
and he shouldn't be. This is absolutely amazing.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
fantastic.
I think it's great. I guess, talking to you last time, you want this to be successful, but like not too successful.
I would be
is that correct?
terrified if it was immediately. If we ordering 10 of these was scary enough, right? I mean, ordering 100 or 200, that'll be okay. But if we put this like on Kickstarter or something and there were 10,000 units that we had to sell, I'd be terrified. I've never manufactured anything like this before. So
Sorry, you gonna do a Kickstarter eventually?
I don't know. I think it would be neat to do one. We want to do I'm just going to tell you what I've been thinking. We want to do not just have it in your case. I want to have like a clock style shelf so you can put it on your desk or on a bookshelf or something. And since it has Wi-Fi, I want to tie it into if this then that so you can
Right.
it can pick it, you count your tweets for the day or something. I don't know, retweets.
Yeah, and so if this and that, that's a spectacular service. Basically, it can do something. If something happens on the internet or whatever else, it can trigger something on your whatever on your
Yep.
device. So yeah, that's cool. I mean, I guess
I
I,
figure a Kickstarter can help me pay for like an injection molded case or
yeah.
something if we get that far.
I mean, I guess I'd wish you lots of success, but I suppose in this case, I'd wish you a limited amount of success, right? Is that
Growing success. I'd like it to be small at first and then build so we don't get overwhelmed right away.
right? Right. No, I get that. I guess. I mean, yeah, I've actually sold very little in the way of actual products, so yeah, I don't exactly know. Don't have any advice for you really, except
Oh, that's fine. I'm not too worried. People are giving me advice.
no,
It's okay. It's
right. You didn't ask, so I'm not.
Yep.
I have none to give.
Well,
Um,
I figure like 100 of them, maybe it'll cost us as much as a cheap used car to get the initial order. But then if it's 10,000 units, now it's a mortgage, right? I don't know if it's quite that much, but it's enough. It's a difference.
it depends on where you live, I guess. I mean, are you
Yeah,
like
I guess it wouldn't be quite. It's not a mortgage. It's a new car pay, a new car
okay?
maybe used a new economy car, not like a Tesla or something. But
Sure, sure. You know, the
yeah,
our last guests, Physics Anonymous, one of the guys that does that with them. He said that I guess I could say this because he said it on the podcast, but at least I think he said it on the podcast. And anyway, he was able to
I'll let you know because I listened to it yesterday.
okay because he was able to buy a Tesla with prophecy made from buying the Tesla stock.
I could totally believe that.
Yeah, so it's a car that literally made itself, at least as far as he's concerned. So that's
Yep,
quite interesting. Now, was that on the podcast or was that something you told
that
me?
was on the podcast.
Okay,
Yep.
good, because it's possible. I'm glad you said that because I don't want, obviously I want to keep people's business private.
Yeah, that could be the thing they said, while you guys were pre-gaming or
Yeah,
something.
it's just now, Jeremy, don't tell anybody this. But
Don't tell anybody I was flying by myself. That's
yeah,
illegal.
well, that's an awesome project. As for me, I've been working on this a dual zone clock because I've got some friends and business associates that live in different time zones, including yourself, Pat. So I guess it's what.
Those are two rings too.
Yeah, it's two rings. So I guess the theme of this, besides quadcopters, is rings. So basically, the way this works is that one of the two two rings is set at say Eastern Standard Time, and the other one is set at Pacific Standard Time, or wherever you like. It's controlled by an Arduino Nano and gets input from a clock. I got this upside down actually, and
Oh
then
no.
basically as one ring progresses, the other ring progresses at the same rate. I feel like I'm not explaining this that well for listeners, but basically you've got a minute hand, and this advances 2 hour hands that advance at the same rate but at different times. Offset like 3 hours. So you can just look at this and say, okay, I see the Pacific's on the left, Eastern Time's on the right, and yeah, it's a really easy way to do it, or so I think.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, so yeah, you can. That should be pretty cool. I actually put a video up on that on my YouTube. You can see that at Jeremy S. Cook, or on Twitter I'm at Jeremy S. Cook as well. And where can people find you if they want to see what's up, what's butter?
Jeremy, people can find me all over the internet. It's amazing. Most people only ever find me from Google though, and they don't know who I am. They just search for things that I've written, the things I've written about show up all the time. I don't understand. I'm not as good at having an audience as you are, Jeremy.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you. Um, so yeah, but what butterwhat.com, is that right? And then
Butterwhat.com would be fantastic. That's where you should go because that's new.
okay, and
That's
then well, patshead.com too.
petshead.com, but people have a lot of trouble spelling that when you say it out loud.
That's
Butterwhat sounds easy. It's
people have a hard time spelling Pat's head.
Yeah, you'd be amazed how many times I give my email address over the phone, and it's very difficult. I don't know why. I don't know why. I
Well,
have to explain it. Well, it's my head, like possessive, and that doesn't help all the time. That
right.
you
Well,
think that
I guess there's no like apostrophe in it.
there's no yeah, it's possessive, but leave the apostrophe. I mean, I've tried it all different ways.
People ask me how to spell cook sometimes, and I'm like this. Somebody asked me, "Is that with a C or a K?" I'm like, "Well,
One of
it's
each.
got both. It's got both in it. So what are you asking me here?" And then sometimes I'll ask if there's an E on the end, which legitimately a lot of people spell it that way. I don't know that
Yep.
I've ever met anyone that spells it that way, but
And if you did, you'd have to yell at them. That would.
yeah, I think so.
It's
You,
too
you know,
much work.
a little bit off the subject, but since we're kind of closing the podcast down a little bit here, last year, so I've got a friend of mine. His last name is Cook as well, and we went to anyway southern Canada, which sounds kind of silly to me living in Florida, but anyway,
All of Canada is southern Canada, isn't it? The places where people live.
yeah, I guess so. But anyway, we were in the west coast of Canada and we found a statue of Captain Cook. So the two of us got to get a picture with him, and that was
Oh, that's
that was
fantastic.
pretty awesome. That's probably, I guess that's not that interesting of a story, but thank you for saying it was fantastic. That's
I'm,
that really makes me feel
well, I do think it's fantastic. It's,
good. Well, thank you.
oh,
Um,
Jeremy, can I tell a story because I've always wanted to tell it,
yeah, and
and
hopefully it'll be
it's
better.
electronics related and everything,
Is
but
it better than the one I just told?
it's slightly longer, and
Okay,
it's a little
that
funnier.
yeah, let's hear it.
All right, a bunch of years, 4 or 5 years ago, the people at my makerspace were teaching an Arduino class at a local library, and I went to help, but they were teaching kids. And since you shouldn't trust me with kids, I guess, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not a real adult, and we'll learn about that here. They set me at a table with, I only had one kid to help. And all this was an Arduino, a breadboard, a couple of LEDs, and they were going through, the demo, the example sketches in the thing, just the blink, the LED and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And we're going through stuff, and he's doing a good job, this kid. I don't even know how old he was. I couldn't even, 10 maybe. I don't know, 8, 10, I don't know. I don't know how to tell the difference.
Yeah, I
But
understand.
the guy who was teaching the class, his wife was walking around with Tootsie Roll Pops. And she gives me and my new friend a Tootsie Roll Pop. And this kid looks at me and he says, "Can I eat this now? Or do I have to wait until we're done?" And the first thing that pops into my head, because my friend Brian is diabetic, I think, like, what if this kid's diabetic? His parents are nowhere near here. They're out in the library. They might not even be here. Who knows? I'm like, so I don't know what to do. So I said, we should ask we should ask an adult. And I raised my hand. And he raises his hand. And my wife comes over and he asks my wife the question. He's like, "Can I eat this now or later?" She says, "Well, you can ask him. He's an adult." And this kid, he looks at me. He looks at my wife, who she's very small, so maybe he doesn't think she's an adult either. But he looks at me and he raises his hand and he says, "I think we should ask a different adult." And he's looking around. Yeah, I can't be trusted with children. I can't take care of children.
Okay, well that's good to know, I guess.
They even know I'm not an adult.
So what was the verdict? Was he able to eat the Tootsie Roll at that point, or
Oh my goodness. I don't remember. I think yes. I'm gonna go with yes.
okay?
I
Well,
think Jason's wife asked and said she said, "Yes, this is fine. Go ahead." She
well
gave the go.
that's
She's a
a
real adult.
that's good to know. And well, I think that's a good place to end the podcast. You know, we can just tell you guys you have, unless there's some overarching medical condition, you're free to eat your Tootsie Rolls now and
Now and not later.
not later. But yeah, hopefully, yeah. Anything else you want to say? Or we good to go, and Pat?
Oh, I could talk forever. I say we're good to go because you don't want to keep me talking.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. You can find us now on creativitycast.com and SoundCloud, iTunes, et cetera, et cetera. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.